Hello everyone. In this video, I want to share how I solve a problem. The reason why I want to make this video is because I just want to strengthen my knowledge by explaining it. Okay, so let's start. Given X as a problem, okay? So let's say we have a problem, namely X, and then the first thing that I will do is creating a clear problem statement. Why? Because clear problem statement could be a direction. And in fact, it is a direction. You know, it is, in fact, a direction. So what is problem statement? Well, I think it consists, at least in my definition, it consists of two things, which are goals and constraints. So goals are the thing that we wish to happen, and constraints is the things that we won't do and can't do. For example, the goals are the application must have login feature. And also, I want to offer my product to 100 people. So look here, there are things that I wish to happen. And yeah, I think it is clear enough. As for the constraints, I don't have to make a load balancer. It is the thing that I will do, and I don't have to sell it if it passes 5 p.m. Yeah, it is also things that I will do. So there are something that I want to note here, which are the goal must be measurable. So as you can see here, I guess this is quite measurable. I mean, if it is, it means that it passes the goal, it checked to goal. But as for this 100 people, I think it is quite obvious that it is already measurable. The constraint doesn't have to be measurable, but it could be measurable. And like I said before, the constraint consists the things that I can do and won't do. Now, after I have created the problem statement, I will find the root cause. So as for the root cause, we have to find one because it is to make sure that the problem doesn't arise anymore. Okay, so we solve the root cause instead of the problem. So the root cause of the problem is the thing that we have to solve. So as for example here, so X is our problem, right? Now we ask to X, why X happens? It turns out X happens because of A. We ask again, why A happens? It turns out it is because B. And we ask again, it because of C. And so on until we find the root cause, until we think it is the root cause at least. So after we have found the root cause, of course, we have to figure out the solution. Okay, so a solution might have many solutions. I mean, a problem, the root of the problem could have many solutions, but we have to pick the most optimal one. And let's say Y is the optimal one. And the next thing that I will do is to imagine the consequences of the solution. And why we have to do this? It is because we have to make sure that the solution doesn't create another problem. Okay, and then how do we do it? Firstly, we have to figure out the stakeholders. So, given that there are n stakeholders, now for stakeholders one, we we put y here, and then we ask to y. If y happens, what is the consequence? So it turns out R will happen. So if R happens, what will happen again? It turns out that the consequence of R is T. Now, if T happens, what happened? And so on until we think that we figure out the consequence is bad or good. If we think the consequences is bad, we have to go back to figure out the solution, and then we pick a alternative solution, and then we put it again in this procedure. Well, ideally, each stakeholder have to be each stakeholder has to be imagined the consequences. So for stakeholder 2, what will happen to them? For stakeholder 3, what will happen to them? And so on. So we have to think for each stakeholder ideally. We have to imagine the consequences for each stakeholder ideally. All right. Finally, the last step is to do divide and conquer. So let's say that Y is the most optimal solution. So we divide it into smaller problems. I mean, into a smaller action that we think it is appropriate, and then we keep dividing it, like for Y to Y1, Y2, Y3, and of course this Y1, Y2, Y3 is smaller problems, are smaller problems, and then each problem again will be divided again into smaller problems like Y11 and Y12, and we keep dividing it like until we think that we are able to carry that small action. And also, not only that we can, we think that we are able to carry it out. No, no, I mean, after we finish creating, determining you know, the problems, the smaller problems, we make priority based on the difficulties and duration. So it is depending on the situation, of course. If we want to make a result quickly, we might pick the shortest duration and so on. Yes, yeah, just make priority. And of course, we can also divide the small problems to other people. Yeah, delegate the small problems to the leaf problems to other people. So I guess that's how I solve a problem so far. It is quite good for me. It becomes a good thinking framework for me. And I hope this idea useful to you. So that's all from me. Thank you so much for watching. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.